Hello, football fans. The Sports Buds are back. It's week 17 in the NFL, and we're just doing one episode for you. Only one game on Saturday, and then every other game possible on Sunday. So
Mhm.
might as well just dive into it. I'm Chris Billings, joined by Nicholas Kerr, Tony Parlay Reyes. Gentlemen, welcome. Let's jump into it. Saturday night game. Detroit Lions at the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas favored by 6 points. We're going to start with Tony on this one. Talk to us about Lions and Cowboys.
Looks like a big spread, but feels like a classic bounce back spot for the Cowboys after losing those two straight road games. They had some problems stopping the run, and the Dolphins, Mike McDaniel was able to make some adjustments and got the better of I'm forgetting the defensive coordinator, Dan Quinn, was able to get the better of Dan Quinn in that game. Kudos to Mike McDaniel. And Vic Fangio did a phenomenal job. I had to rewatch that game. He really took away CeeDee Lamb after the first half, and so that's why Dak was looking elsewhere. But really, in my opinion, that game was really lost on the offensive line for the Cowboys. No Tyron Smith. It really caused a lot of problems for Dak. He wasn't really able to go ahead and get protected and see them read the field as well. But if Tyron Smith plays, I just don't think that Lions defense is anywhere near what the Dolphins were able to do. If Tyron plays and they're at home, I think the Cowboys blow out this Lions team. And on the other side of the field, Jared Goff, not the most mobile quarterback, and he's going to be going up against a ferocious pass rush. He hasn't really done good in these spots this season. We saw what happened when they played Baltimore. It just doesn't seem like a good spot for them. The Lions are like on their all-time high, winning that division for the first time in 30 years, clinching that playoff spot. I don't know. I don't know if we really got any questions answered about the Lions this season. I think they kind of got lucky with the Kirk Cousins injury. I think that Vikings team probably would have won the division if he stayed healthy. So I don't know. I'm just not a believer in that Lions team. And I just think they're ripe for a blowout right here. And I'm expecting a big game from Micah Parsons, to be honest.
All right. No worries. I'm sure Dan Quinn forgot who he was during that game as well. Nick, talk to us about Lions and Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Cowboys here as well. I agree with a lot of the points that Tony was making, especially Dallas coming off the two road losses. I think Detroit with this game, they're coming off that first division championship in 30 years. So I think there's going to be a little bit of a lull here. So I think with Dallas at home, they're 6-1 against the spread, and they're winning by an average margin of 24 points. So I'm looking for Dak to have a big bounce back game here, especially against that Lions secondary that's given up 7 yards per pass attempt.
All right. I guess I'm on a lonely island on this. I'm taking the Detroit Kitties. I crowned Dallas as not frauds, not pretenders, and then what did they do? They came out and lost 2 games in a row that were very meaningful. So this is another meaningful game. I think for the Lions as well as the Cowboys. I will say this though, with the Lions already clinching that division, I think if Dallas can get an early lead in that first half, that the Lions will most likely wave the white flag and just head into the playoffs with a healthy team. So I think there is that aspect of it. I'm not necessarily going to be surprised the Cowboys win. This is just more my intuition that I think at the very least Lions are going to play it a lot closer than 6 points, but I do project the Lions winning this game. So moving forward, we've got Patriots.
Wait a second. Let's hit the brakes here. The Lions winning this game and also the Lions waving the white flag. I think you need to make up your mind on who you're picking in this game and why.
Picking the Lions. I just said it.
Okay. I really want to know why these games were so meaningful for the Cowboys, the Dolphins and the Bills, Billings.
It's because you're playing against like contending teams, like 2 teams that are going to be in the playoffs. Like it's a measuring stick game. And what are the Cowboys notable for? Losing games in December and then January. And so that trend continues with them.
So if the Cowboys had won that game, would people's opinions about them have changed?
Yes, and I said that in that episode.
No. Again, the Cowboys aren't about the regular season. Like you said, in January, this is what the critical moments are, the playoffs. no one would have changed their opinion on the Cowboys if they would have beaten the Dolphins or the Bills. If they would have won both of those games right now, people would still be asking the same question about the Cowboys in the playoffs in January.
Honestly, the narrative just would have changed a little bit. They would have fit their own little narrative of why the Cowboys weren't good. They're doing it the same with the Dolphins. The Dolphins beating the Cowboys. Now it's the Dolphins can't beat a team on the road. So they have that same opportunity this week. They would have just changed the goalpost.
Yeah, and I just think that the Dolphins and Cowboys are in different spots in that situation. Like, that was a much more meaningful game for the Dolphins than the Cowboys.
But also, like, we still have these questions about the Cowboys going into this game, and the one thing that did change was the standings. Cowboys, like, potentially in this game could have been competing for a top 2 seed in this game, and instead they're not. They're crawling back into what potentially could be, like, at best, like, the 3rd seed. And so, yes, like, I think those 2 games, like, drastically changed what's happening for Dallas right now. They're playing for a wild card spot now.
So if Dallas wins this game, your opinion is going to change of them?
Yeah, it will actually. I will give them more credit, and they're going into a team that they could most likely face in the playoffs.
Okay. I just don't think any regular season wins mean anything for this team. That's what the whole questions are about, is when they get into the playoffs, and so that's where the questions come about. That's when people are going to care.
Like we discussed offline, when you haven't won or even been to an NFC championship game since the early 90s, like, yeah, it is about winning playoff games at this point. So I agree with you there.
Again, yes, and that is not what we are in right now. It is week 17.
All right, well, we're going to move forward. The Cowboys fan clearly hit a nerve with him. So, Patriots,
just
Bills.
Want to present the facts. I like presenting an actual fact-based narrative there.
Patriots, Bills. Bills favored by 12 points in this game. Going to start with Nick on this one. Talk to us about Pats and Bills.
All right, since Tony just took up all my time, I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I think the Bills could get caught looking forward in this game because they have a big week 18 matchup against the Dolphins down in Miami. So I think they could slip up a little bit in this division game. I think it's too many points. But I think the Bills still win this, but I'm going to take the Patriots with the points.
I'm in agreement with Nick, like, short but sweet. Like, I think that the Bills are ultimately going to win this game, but Patriots, clearly, from what we saw with the Broncos game last week, they're still fighting for games and trying to win, which is weird considering their draft standings. But yeah, Patriots are still going to come out and try in this game at the very least, and I think they cover. So give me New England. Tony, that leaves us with you. Mr. Lonely Island taking the Bills and 12 points. Tell us why.
Bad spot for the Patriots, man. Coming off that huge win against the Broncos, pulling off that come from behind win. The Patriots beat the Bills already earlier this season. I think this is the last home game for Buffalo. They're going to get Bills Mafia pretty rowdy. I don't know. This game seems like it's got blowout written all over it as well, man. I just feel like that fan base is going to be loud. They get up a couple scores early. It just feels like it's going to be a rout, man.
We'll say this, Bills Mafia is loud for plenty of games they lost this year, so I just, also wouldn't be surprised if the Bills come out and just win by 2 touchdowns. So, all right, another, I guess, game of interest somewhat. You got the Atlanta Falcons at the Chicago Bears. Bears favored by 3 points. I mean, we could be potentially talking about Justin Fields at a different location next season. We could be talking about Eberflus getting fired at the end of the season. We could talk about Arthur Smith possibly getting fired at the end of the season. So I'll start with you, Tony. Talk to us about Falcons and Bears.
Do I have to? This game is bad. I guess Tyler Heineke was better last week. I mean, I figured they could upset the Colts. They needed to win for Arthur Smith's job. I still, like you said, I don't know if anyone's safe. Quarterbacks, coaches, Yeah, I don't know, man. But the Bears, they've been playing a little bit better at home. Weather could come into effect. I think I've liked a little bit more what I've seen from Justin Fields than whatever the Falcons are doing on offense, figuring out ways to keep Bijan from succeeding. But yeah, I'll take the Bears and the 3 points at home.
I'm in agreement with you, Tony. I'm taking the Bears as well. Like, Bears have had some bright spots here at the tail end of the season. Same with Justin Fields, whereas the Falcons, like, nobody really knows what direction they're going in other than Arthur Smith, which, congrats to him. Like, hey, you really showed those fantasy football players. Beyond that, like, I don't know what you've done with the Falcons this season. It's a very, I'd say, Josh McDaniels-esque of just like, what are you trying to accomplish with this team? So Nick, that leaves us with you, Falcons or Bears?
Yeah, I like a lot of the points you guys both just made. I'm going to take the Bears in this because they have come alive in recent weeks. Won 3 out of 4, including 4 straight at home. Defense giving up under 15 points a game in the last 4 games. I mean, the Falcons, they still have a chance in the playoffs, but I'm going to take Justin Fields over Taylor Heineke.
All right, that's family play. Cue Vin Diesel on that one. Next up, we have the Las Vegas Raiders at the Indianapolis Colts. A battle of 2 teams that Tony has just had conflicting issues with this season. Indy favored by 3.5 points. Speaking of Tony, we'll start with him on this one.
You know, I don't know if Antonio Pierce is going to get that job. It seems like he's really got that defense coached up, and they've been playing really well. Beating the Chiefs was pretty epic win for them. I mean, they were looking forward to that. The 3.5 points on the road is a lot. My main concern is the offense. Aiden O'Connell is not good, has not been good, has not been developed, and I think that's pretty much going to be the weakness in the Antonio Pierce coaching resume. So I don't think he ends up getting this Raiders head coaching job because of that. But against the Colts, I think that their defense is able to go ahead and make enough plays against Gardner Minshew. Shane Steichen's done a phenomenal job of maximizing what Minshew could do this year, but I just don't like him against that Raiders defense. I think the Raiders do win this one.
All right. I will ask you this, Tony. Who is going to be the Raiders QB on week 1 of next season?
That's a good question. I would say, well, don't they still have Jimmy Garoppolo?
They do. They did. Believe it or not, they still got that guy.
All right, that's who I'll say. Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
That's who's starting week 1 for them next year.
Nick?
I agree with that, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Jimmy G ultimately.
I forgot, yeah.
Yeah.
That just shows how impressive he's been with the Raiders. But yeah, like I will say this, Antonio Pierce is not going to be their coach next season. Like I know I gave Tony shit about Antonio Pierce, but like, let's be realistic. He's not going to be the head coach. Like, another good story of a coach closing out the year, but no. He'll get a great DC job somewhere else.
Yeah, it happened with the Raiders before, right? A couple years ago, Rich Bisaccia or something.
And a lot of the players thought that they should have just kept him, and they ended up going with Josh McDaniels. Best of luck to Mark Davis again, but hey, got a fancy stadium there. Nick, who do you have for Raiders and Colts?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Raiders in this because I think that the defense has been playing great under Antonio Pierce. The last 2 games, they got multiple defensive touchdowns in both of the games. I think that strong defense is going to continue against Gardner Minshew, and I think they have them pulling off the upset here.
All right. That leaves me on a lonely island. I'm taking Minshew Mania and the Colts. I guess I'm backtracking here where now I'm going to say, like, the Raiders have had too many I'll call them cheeky games where it's games that it's just like, come on, like, really? Like, you shouldn't be doing this with the backup coach, backup QB, but they are doing it. I think that kind of comes to an end this weekend. I don't like the 3.5 points, I will admit that, but Indy, anytime I've picked against them this season, they've managed to battle back, and I think this is a case of just they're the better team than the Raiders. They're clearly better coached, and I think they got the better players. I'd say probably the only advantage the Raiders have is on their defensive side of the ball. So, yeah, give me Indy in this game. I'm not believing in the Antonio Pierce hype. So there you go, Tony. Gave you one. Moving forward, Rams at Giants. Los Angeles is favored by 4.5 points in this game. Tony, we'll start with you.
Well, I'm going to induct Sean McVay into the betting buds because he watches this show. He keeps an eye on the spreads. I will never forget, like week 2, down 30-20 against the Niners and kicked a meaningless field goal to cover a 7.5 point spread. Also, Sean McVay is a wizard on the East Coast. I think he's like 10-1 or something against the spread on the East Coast. Rams looking really, really good right now. Had a little extra time to prepare since they came off that Thursday night win over the Saints. 4.5 points on the road. I think the Rams roll the Giants. I just think they're clicking right now. They're looking really good. I think they win by about a touchdown.
I'm in agreement with you, Tony. I'm taking the Rams as well. I think that the Tommy DeVito train is officially hit the end of that track, which I'd say that was about like a 3/4 of a Linsanity moment for him. So not quite a full Linsanity. Sorry, Tommy DeVito. We tried to root for you and stick up for family, but no. Tyrod Taylor is starting in this game. The Giants are kind of just back to what the Giants really are, and I think the Rams will take advantage of that. I think Sean McVay will take advantage of that, and Matt Stafford's been playing great, so give me the Rams. Leaves us with Nick. Nick, who do you have, Rams or Giants?
Yeah, I'm in a complete agreement. Sean McVay this year with his team as road favorites, they've covered both times by an average margin of victory of 14.5 points. And like Chris just said, Matthew Stafford, his last 5 games, he's got a 114 passer rating, 14 touchdowns, 1 interception. LA's the superior team here, and they'll prove it. I think they win by at least a touchdown.
All right. Next up, we have the Cardinals at Eagles. Philadelphia favored by 10.5 points in this one. See if Philly can finally bounce back. Nick, we'll kick it back to you on this one. AZ or Philly?
I think I'm going to take the Cardinals here. I think the Eagles still win this game, but I think it's too many points. I think the Eagles, they haven't played well over the last month. And with the Cardinals having Kyler Murray back for this last few games that they have, they've looked like a little bit more competent of an offense. So I think that they have enough offense to stay in this game, especially with the way Philly's been playing. So I think with too many points, I'm going to take the Cardinals here.
All right. Tony, Cardinals or Eagles?
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Nick. Gannon was the former defensive coordinator of the Eagles last year, too. He probably has some insights into that team and how to slow down the offense. 10.5 points seems like a lot, man. I think the Eagles were double-digit favorites over the Giants last week, and they weren't able to cover that. I think I'm with you. I think the Eagles win, but 10.5 does seem like a lot. Kyler and that team, I think they could go ahead and keep it competitive, keep it under 10, double digits. Does seem like too many points for them.
Right. I'm on a lonely island. I'm taking the Eagles, which I've done multiple times this year, and it's burned me. But no, I think that what Tony refers to as a get-right game for the Eagles, I think this is it. You're facing an inferior opponent. Also, in terms of the Cardinals, I think one of their best advantages on offense is Kyler Murray being able to run the ball, and just in general being able to run the ball on offense. But I think it's going to be some cold weather there in Philly. Most likely they're not going to want to take those hits all game, and I think that's going to be impactful on the Cardinals. So I do see the Eagles being able to win this by 2 touchdowns or more. But don't know with the Eagles. They've been up and down this season. So as I say, would not be surprised if I'm wrong on this one, which I usually am. So next up, we got an NFC South divisional battle. I'm tired of these ones. Saints at Buccaneers. Bucs favored by 3 points. Tony, let's start with you on this one.
Where's Derek Carr playing next year? I don't really like anything that we've seen from the Saints this year. And I think And because like I think like Baker is competent, and it seems like him and Mike Evans have really found like a connection, and that's what's floating that offense along. I think the Bucs win this game by 3, probably by more. They just look like they're clicking right now. Baker looks comfortable in that offense, and Derek Carr they're just trash, man. That whole organization, like what. He has a no trade clause in his contract. When I was looking at it, I was like, you guys are so trapped. The Saints are so screwed. And yeah, like the Bucs are winning the division, and they're going to be ready for that first. They're going to be ready for the playoffs.
A Sean McVay team in cap hell? You don't say. Wouldn't know anything about that. Also, in terms of Derek Carr, I think he will most likely be playing for insert media company here next season. Yeah, I think this is probably one of the last of the games we're going to see from Derek Carr. So, Nick, we'll jump to you around on this one. Saints or Bucs?
Yeah, I'm tired of these NFC South matchups too. Like I was when I read that the Bucs have won 4 straight, it surprised me. But they've won 4 straight under Baker Mayfield. But they have had their troubles at home in recent past with these Saints at home. So I don't know. The Saints are going to be well rested after this, but I think Baker keeps this Bucs team going. I think they end up getting this win.
All right. I'm in agreement. Family play on this one. I'm taking the Bucs. Yeah, I'd rather watch 80% of the bowl games being played right now than this. I'm over it with the Saints. I'm over it with the Bucs. I think most likely both these teams are going to look drastically different than they have this season. I think you could probably say that for all of the NFC South at this point, that all those teams are going to look drastically different next season. So, moving forward, got the Niners at the Commanders. San Fran favored by 13 points in this one. Nick, we'll start with you. Niners or Commies?
I mean, at first thought, this might look like too many points. But this San Francisco team coming off that rough loss to the Ravens on a short week, I don't think it's going to matter. I think this San Francisco defensive line is just going to eat up that bad Commanders offensive line and just have a field day. I'm going to take San Francisco in this, even with the points.
Yep, same. Even you first look at this, you're like, oh boy, that's a lot of points, until you realize it's the Commanders, who are actually going back to Sam Howell in this game. Who they initially benched, and then the person that was replacing him got injured, and so now he's back in the game. That just seems like a recipe for not success. So give me the Niners. Tony, that leaves us with you.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. God, man, it does seem like a lot of points, but this is their get-right game for the Niners. They are going to destroy that Commanders team. Like you said, going back to Sam Howell, like, why? Why? To take more sacks? Like, I have no idea. No idea what they're doing, but give me the Niners.
Fun thing, there was a point this season where people in the media were talking about Sam Howell for MVP. So never forget. All right, next up, we have the Panthers at the Trevor Lawrence the Jags without Trevor Lawrence. Jacksonville favored by 6.5 points in this one, as of when we put these spreads in there, but I'm willing to bet that's changed. So we'll start with Tony. Panthers or Jags?
The Jags are leading that AFC South. I just want to throw that out there. It blew my mind when I saw that today, because they haven't looked good in like a month. And without Trevor Lawrence, 6.5 points feels like too many. So I'll take that Panthers team, even though they're looking a little bit better. But the Jags, like, I don't know, man. Doug Peterson might be losing some stuff there. They are not looking good. Trevor Lawrence can't stay healthy. So yeah, I'll take the 6.5 points for the road Panthers here.
Yeah, I agree with you, Tony. I actually changed my pick once I saw that Trevor Lawrence was out. I was like, yeah, no, Panthers can cover that, especially being 6.5 points. Yeah, simple as that. I think Jacksonville still wins this, but Carolina covers. Nick, oh no, Lonely Island Nick, tell us why you're taking the Jags.
Yeah, Chris, I was almost right there with you with changing my pick as well, but I figured why not stay on the Lonely Island. This Jags team, I know they've lost 4 straight. Tony says he feels like they haven't won in a while, and they haven't. But I think this is where they come through, because remember earlier in the year we were talking about this Panthers team, if they would even win another game. I think even with the backup quarterback, I think that the Jags end up winning this game by at least a touchdown.
All right. Next up, we got Nick's Miami Dolphins in Baltimore against the Ravens. Baltimore favored by 3.5 points here. Start with myself on this one. I said it last week about Dolphins versus the Cowboys, where I was just like, I still don't believe in the Dolphins. I'm carrying that forward this week. Like, yes, they beat a playoff-bound, top-tier NFC opponent. Now you got to win on the road against a team that you could most likely face later rounds of the AFC playoffs, and so it's a big game. But I still think Dolphins a little bit of a paper tiger. Sorry, Nick. I am taking Baltimore in this one. Only thing that makes me hesitate, I will say this, Nick, is that 3.5 points. I think the Dolphins are going to still keep it close in this one. So, Tony, what about yourself?
I'm with you, Billings. I'm also picking the Ravens. I was a little worried with the hook. To be honest, my take on this game is this game doesn't matter for the Dolphins at all. What I would be more concerned about if I was a Dolphins fan like Nick or anyone on that Dolphins organization is staying healthy. This is the list of people that the Ravens have played in the last 6 weeks. Deshaun Watson, out for the season after he played the Ravens. Joe Burrow, out for the season after he played the Ravens. Justin Herbert, injured, out for the season 1 game later after he played the Ravens. Trevor Lawrence, injured, injury issues after he played the Ravens. Brock Purdy, knocked out of that game last week, as well as Trent Williams. So health would be my main concern. Get out of that game healthy and just look for greener pastures, because that's what that Ravens defense does, is injure teams. So that's all I would be concerned about if I was a Dolphins fan, is just getting out of that game healthy.
Interesting take there. You almost kind of swayed me a little bit when I think about that. All right, let's go to our resident South Florida expert, Nicholas J. Kerr. Tell us why you're picking the Dolphins.
I mean, it should be no surprise. But that is a surprising stat there, Tony. I was not aware of that, so good on your part. But I think this is probably one of the biggest Dolphins games in probably my lifetime since I've been a fan. I was talking with some friends before, and I can't think of a bigger regular season game that they've had with so much on the line. And I think after that Tennessee game, it could have taken losing that game to get back on track, because yeah, we beat the Jets 30-0, and then the storyline began, carried on with the Dolphins can't be good teams. They beat Dallas. Now the narrative changed back to the Dolphins can't be good teams on the road. Even if I do believe the Dolphins will win this game, even if they do win this game, there's still going to be the doubts, and they'll still say next week, oh, the Dolphins now have to beat the Bills. So I think the locker room hears this to a degree, and I think they're going to come ready for the occasion. So I'm taking Dolphins in this.
You're not wrong, Nick. If the Dolphins do win this game, I'm probably going to be chirping next week about, all right, now you have to go out and beat the Bills. You got to get revenge against the Bills. So you're not wrong there.
Wait, if the Dolphins win this game, doesn't that game against the Bills become meaningless? Don't they lock up the division with this win?
They lock up the division, but then they'd still need to win to get the number 1 seed.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, like they're still fighting for the number 1 seed here, and yeah, like if you can get home field advantage throughout, get that bye week to start out, like that would be huge for this Dolphins team. Like I can't even
huge for my wallet as well.
Yeah. But like I can't stress that enough. I think of all the teams in the AFC, the team that could probably like take the most advantage from getting that number 1 seed is the Dolphins, by far and away, I think. So All right, next up we have Tennessee Titans at the Houston Texans. Texans favored by 4.5 points in this one. I think CJ Stroud is still out in this game, or it's questionable at this point. We are getting towards the end of that concussion protocol, so I do think it is going to be a game time decision. Let's start with Nick on this one. Who do you have, Titans or Texans?
Yeah, Chris, I'm going to take the Titans in this because the Titans keep showing good fight under Mike Vrabel, but the offense just doesn't have enough beyond the run game. I mean, I know Will Levis, I think, is back this week, so he should get a little help with that because when you have DeAndre Hopkins and Derrick Henry back there, anything can really happen. I think it might take a little bit for CJ Stroud to get back to the way he was performing early in the year, especially since it's taken him a little bit of time to get back off this concussion. So for that, I think the Texans might still win this game, but I think it only might be by a field goal.
Okay, all right. I'm in agreement. I'm taking Tennessee as well. Like, even though we just fucking watched this game like a week ago, we're watching it again. I will say this: those Oilers jerseys are jinxed. Never wear those again, Tennessee. But no, I think Texans ultimately win this game. The thing that just had me side-eye here was that 4.5 points. Weird for a divisional matchup, so I do think that the Titans end up covering that, but lose the game. So that leaves us with Mr. Tony Parlay, who, oh no, is on the Lonely Island. Tell us why you're back in H-Town.
I'm hoping CJ Stroud plays. That's what that pick is about. Dude, I don't know, man. We have all this uncertainty on all these games where the quarterbacks are so suspect, and yet we don't know where Russell Wilson's going to play next year. It's pretty hilarious that both of these things exist at the same time. I don't know, man. The Texans, I think they're going to win that division. I think they're going to the playoffs. I like them more than anyone else in the AFC South. I can't really wrap my head around Gardner Minshew and the Colts hosting a playoff game. So I think the Texans are going to win this game, maybe by a touchdown. I'm hoping CJ Stroud plays. That's pretty much what that pick is behind, that CJ Stroud is going to play, because I don't know. If he doesn't play, I can see where you guys are coming from. But if he plays, I'm comfortable with the 4.5.
Yeah, I think they've already expired their Case Keenum magic card and played that. I don't see that happening again. If I had confirmation that CJ Stroud was playing, I would maybe lean towards Houston. But like I said, it's, as of this recording, still a toss-up. So I got to go with Tennessee. Okay, next game up, we have Pittsburgh Steelers at the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks favored by 3.5 points. Start with you, Tony, on this one. Pittsburgh or Seattle?
Mike Tomlin's a cockroach. If he sees a winning record within sight, you know it's happening. Mason fucking Rudolph was out last week, showing out against the Bengals, figuring out a way to complete passes for them to win that game. I don't know why the Seahawks are giving up 3.5. This just feels like too much, man. The Steelers are going to lose this game by a field goal, and I'll win by the hook. This is weird. Give me the Steelers on the road by the cockroach Tomlin.
Yep, this game is a trap. Logically, when you see Steelers starting Mason Rudolph, having to travel to Seattle of all places, of course they're going to lose that. So automatically, you got to go with the fucking George Costanza, do the opposite. Got Mike Tomlin in this game. So yes, I'm picking Pittsburgh because everything tells me I should pick Seattle. So yeah, picking Pittsburgh. That leaves us with Nick, who, he's back on the Lonely Island. Yeah. Tell us why you're picking the Seahawks.
I think this is the year that Mike Tomlin's luck finally runs out. You see everything that's been happening this year with them closely getting these wins and everything. I think the luck's going to run out because this is a playoff game basically for these two teams. I mean, the Seahawks are coming off the nice victory against the Titans. And like you guys said, Mason Rudolph on, what was it, Christmas Eve? Christmas Eve. It seemed fitting. I think that's the last hurrah for the Steelers this year. I just think that East Coast team going west, like you guys say, I think the Seahawks end up winning this game by a touchdown.
Nick, you are a greedy man. You're asking for not only this season to be the end of Bill Belichick, but to be the end of Mike Tomlin as well. Like, just take your wins when you can, man. Like, what are you doing?
Hey, just keep throwing them out there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, not only that, Josh McDaniels, throw him next this season as well. Just like, you're just knocking off like fucking cartoon villains one by one. All right, next up, we had to get to it eventually. Los Angeles Chargers at the Denver Broncos. Denver favored by 3 points despite starting Jared Stidham. Gonna be Jared Stidham versus Easton Stick in this one. Awesome. I'll start with myself here. I'm taking Denver. Like, I think that at the very least their defense can take opportunity of a Chargers team that's just depleted. Like, no Keenan Allen, bunch of other players injured as well. And so yeah, they're running on fumes. They have to come into Mile High. You're still gonna have a loud home crowd there, so give me Denver. It's just simple as that. That I think Denver maybe will show some good things with Jared Stidham, but like both these teams, like this season's fucking lost to both of them. So, Tony, next up, Broncos or Chargers?
Yeah, man, I'm right there with you. It definitely looked like the Chargers threw the kitchen sink at the Bills last game, and they were in a dogfight, and they ended up losing that one close, a lot closer than the spread, I believe. But Easton Stick, like, this is like the third or fourth game he's out there. Tape's out. That's pretty much the window of time a backup quarterback gets in the NFL before all the tendencies get scouted out and all the tape is out. So I don't think Easton Stick's able to move the ball too well. And like you said, that Broncos defense definitely generate turnovers, create some short fields for Stidham. I think the Broncos win, and Sean Payton has to go ahead and quiet some of that criticism that's happening this week.
True, and it's the season of backup quarterbacks. We've seen all these backup quarterbacks come in and just tear it up. So Jared Stidham, your time is now. Here is your 15 seconds of fame. Enjoy it, my friend. Nick, who do you have, Chargers or Broncos?
Yeah, I'm taking Broncos in this, just like you guys. I agree with what both of you were saying. I don't think it matters who's at quarterback for the Broncos right now against this Chargers team. Defense is gonna get some takeaways, give them short fields, and I think that the Broncos end up winning this game.
All right. Yep. Disappointing year for both these teams. All right. Next, we have Cincinnati Bengals. Jake Browning, the mighty Jake Browning, versus Patrick Mahomes and the flailing Chiefs? Question mark. Chiefs favored by 7 points in this one. Nick, we'll start with you. Cincy or KC?
I'm gonna take Cincy with the points here. I think that Kansas City still wins this game because they're still working through some of those offensive issues, and they got about 2 weeks left before the playoffs starts, so they're gonna need to start figuring them out. On the other side, Cincinnati, they fell victim to that Mason Rudolph game we were just talking about last, so I think they have a good bounce back game here and keep it close, but they lose by probably like a field goal.
Jeez, you had to bring that up. We were so wrong about that Thursday night football game, dear Lord. I'm in agreement with you, Nick. I'm taking Cincy to more so cover than anything. To use the Tonyism, I think this is a get-right game for the Chiefs, but I don't see them doing more than a touchdown. I think the Bengals can still keep it close because, like, as we've seen with the Bengals, like, they're still fighting, and they're still a very good team, and they're very hard out right now, unless you're Mason Rudolph and the Steelers. So, Tony doesn't like what he saw in that Pittsburgh Bengals game, so he's on a lonely island picking Taylor Swift and the Chiefs.
Dude, I'm confused about this game and confused about this team because it's like two things are true. I know Patrick Mahomes is amazing at quarterback. So, like, I can't wrap my head around the fact that the Chiefs are not good. They do not have a good offense. I don't even know if they have like a number 2 wide receiver, much less a number 1 wide receiver. Travis Kelce looks old. He does not look like the best tight end in football anymore. And it's like all of these things like coalescing at the same time for the Chiefs is like causing all these issues and why they're looking flailing, like you said. But it's like I cannot wrap my head around that Chiefs offense and Patrick Mahomes not being good. I'll probably be wrong. This is like your Steelers Seahawks pick. So I'm going to take the 7 points and the Chiefs at home. Even though I haven't liked what I've seen from the Chiefs in a month. So I'm just backing Patrick Mahomes to pull some Mahomes nonsense in this one.
Yeah, it seems like if you can double cover or jam up Kelce at the line, Mahomes doesn't have very many options beyond that, and is resulting in a lot of coverage sacks, I would say. So, yep, that's a red flag, but hey, we've learned on this show, never count out the Kansas City Chiefs, who like to play with their food. All right, final game of the weekend. Sunday Night Football. We have Green Bay Packers at the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota favored by 2 points in this one. I'm going to start out with myself. Started out the season saying that Jordan Love was going to be the bust of the year. That's not quite true, I would say, at this point in the season, unless he just has a terrible game here or a terrible game week 18. I'd say, like, at best, he's a mediocre quarterback that could get by with glimmers of some good things. I mean, potentially there's a ceiling there, but I'm going to take the Packers. I'm going to take Jordan Love. I think they're just the better team right now. They're the better offense right now, especially. This Vikings team's turning back to Jaron Hall, I believe, in this game. So good luck with that. Tony, Packers or Vikings?
Yeah, man. I think I'm right there with you with the Packers. Jaron Hall, having to turn to him is really bad. I mean, Nick Mullins threw 4 picks against the Lions last week, and even being said, if they had a legitimate quarterback, they would have won that game because Justin Jefferson was wide open in the end zone at the end of that game. And yeah, the Packers, I mean, they don't look that great. Like you said, you're still not sold on Jordan Love. I mean, he's middling. I think that the lack of quarterback production might be raising his stock a little bit this year, like you said, the year of the backup. But 2 points, I don't know. The Packers are the better team despite the brouhaha that happened with Jair Alexander and the overtime coin toss against the Panthers last week. Pretty funny video. Look that one up, guys, if you guys want to watch it. But yeah, I'll take the Packers and the 2 points.
Yep, Packers, they're their own worst enemy this season.
Yeah.
Nick, what about yourself? Cheeseheads or Vikings?
I mean, I'm with both you guys. I'm taking the Packers here. Both these teams are fighting for a playoff spot, but I think that the Packers are finishing this year as strong, or at least Jordan Love is as strong as he began it, because 5 out of the last 6 weeks he's had at least two touchdowns and no interceptions. So I think things are trending in the right direction for him, and I think with another offseason they could do more next year. But as far as this game, I think they do win it.
All right. That's a family play. Cue Vin Diesel. All right. That's week 17 in the NFL. We only have one more week left, and then it's playoff time. I will not be there. These other 2 bastards will. I'll be giving you basketball coverage. But yeah. One more week to go, gentlemen. It's been awesome. I'm glad I could pop back in and put the kibosh on the betting buds. But hope everyone has a happy and safe new year. Tony, what are you most looking forward to in 2024?
Good question. Good health, good wealth, good friends, man.
Nick, what about yourself? What are you most looking forward to in 2024?
Everything Tony just said, and hopefully a championship.
Yeah, see, that was the layup, Tony. Was you could have said Cowboys championship, and you fumbled it. Fumbled the ball. Hey, heading into the thick of basketball season. We got baseball coming up here in a few months.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I won't have to talk about football here soon enough. But one thing I will have to talk about in 2024 is who's going to be the Broncos starting QB, which, hey, I have experience from the past few years, so we'll do that. All right, that's enough of us yammering. Have a happy, safe New Year. See you in 2024. See you in Week 18. For the Sports Buds, I'm Chris Billings, Nicholas J. Kerr, Tony Parlay Reyes. Good night.
Thanks for watching the Sports Buds. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe.